Hello and welcome to Alternative Lifestyle with Pastors Julius and Mary. We are glad to be with you tonight. Sorry we couldn't be here last week, but we're here tonight and we're going to have a great time.
Good evening, everybody. So good to be here with you. And we're looking forward to a wonderful time by the grace of God.
We're still on the series Family First. If you've been with us, well, we've been on this series now for three months since we started, actually. Yeah. But it's great. It's wonderful. You can't get away from the family because the family really is the building block for every community. So we're happy. We've spent so much time talking about the family, and you can never get away from it, really.
No.
But we alternative lifestyle is not just about the family, so we are gonna have to get away from it at some point.
I'm sure we'll come back to it at some point.
Well, we're gonna continue. We're gonna continue the Family First series on the Family First platform. So we have a page, Family First. If you haven't liked that page, we want to encourage you to like the page. We're gonna have a group as well where we can truly connect with each other and just share things that impact the family in our communities, and share tips, share ideas, and ways that we can find ways we can support each other in raising our families, because we really believe that it's very, very, very important.
Yeah, the family is very important.
Absolutely. So I think we have 2 more weeks. Thursday the 22nd, 23rd, 22nd, when is it? 21st. Thursday the 21st.
Thursday?
Yes.
The 21st, yes.
Yes, Thursday the 21st will be the last alternative lifestyle in which we're going to, go with Family First, and it will be the last program this year. So please mark in your diary and make sure you join us. It will be a special Christmas episode of Alternative Lifestyle. But like we said, we will carry on with the Family First teaching, sharing on the Family First platform. But today we are moving on. Well, we've been talking about relationships. We've been talking about ways to bond with our spouses. But guess what? The family is not just made up of the man and the woman, is it?
The children are a big part of it.
Absolutely. And they're a gift. Yes. They are a gift. They're really a
blessing from God.
They are a blessing from God. And when God created the marriage institution, having children was a big part of it. Absolutely. Because after he created man and woman, the first thing he said to them was, be fruitful and multiply. Of course, fruitfulness is not just about raising or having children. No. We were fruitful in lots of ways, but having children was it's a significant part, and especially in the context of husband and wife. Yes. So today we are going to be talking about what happens when the children get in the mix. When the children get in the mix. As you join us, please say hello. We want to connect with you. We want to say hello to you and let us know where you're watching us from. And do share the video on your wall if you don't mind. Invite your friends. Tonight is really going to be awesome because children are awesome. Yeah. So invite your friends, let them join us. I'm just going to take a minute to share it on my wall.
Yeah, we encourage you to do that as well. And as you join us, please do say hello and let us know where you're watching from. It'd be nice to link up with you that way, just to see to hear where you're watching us from. And when we start. When we say things that you agree with, do let us know. And if you find anything that you don't necessarily agree with, that's okay. And you can let us know as well.
Yes.
And if you have questions as we go along, feel free to ask.
Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. So today we're talking about children, when children get introduced into the family. Because the truth of the matter is, when people get married, when people are courting, it's all hunky-dory, they're having a great time, and then they get married, and then they go off on their honeymoon, and then they come home and everything is cool. It's just about the two of them. They can do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it. And I remember actually when we just got married, we decided, and I will come to that later in the program, but we decided we're not going to have kids immediately.
Yes.
And we said we'd wait. We don't want to enjoy our time together. And I remember I used to say it doesn't feel like we're married, because it just still feels like we're courting.
For a long time.
For a long time it did. But of course, I can promise you, when children come in the mix, you will begin to feel like you're married, because it changes the dynamics of everything. It really does.
But the birth of a child, I mean, especially your first child, it's difficult to put into words. All of them are very special. All of our kids are special, but that first one, I guess because it's your first.
Yes, absolutely.
The feeling is indescribable.
Yeah. Yeah, but it has a huge impact on the family. It absolutely changes everything. I say to people now, younger couples, I say to them, enjoy this time, because it will never be the same. Once the kids come,
there will never be a better time to enjoy your time together.
Absolutely, and it just never is the same. It will never be the same. So there are lots of things we could talk about when kids come in the mix. But I think the first thing I want to say is, some people think, oh, let's have a child because it's going to bring us closer together. When we have,
well, I hope it does.
Well, when we have a common goal, a common interest, a common person that we're both, focusing on, it's going to bring us together, and that is such a big myth.
Yeah,
it really is a big myth, and we're going to be talking about that tonight. But yes, so let's talk about when the child comes into the picture. How does it affect the family?
Like I said, I'm going to start with the positive, The birth of your child is just the most amazing thing. I remember when our Daniel was born, I could take you back 21 years ago now to exactly where I was and the feelings. I could write a movie about it. But then shortly after, not long, no, a few weeks after, I'm not sure, did I ever say it? I'm not sure if I ever said it, but you begin to feel, it is very possible that it crosses your mind that, is your wife preferring the child to you, maybe that's normal, maybe because the baby is, it's almost a foreigner to the mix right now, and then you're beginning to, not jealous is a very harsh word, and I think it's unnecessary, but but
you feel a bit left out.
Kind of.
You feel like the connection is not.
And maybe it's not fair to the woman who's carried the baby for 9 months, and I think it's only fair that they bond with their child as well. There will be that unique bond, between the two of them. So maybe men just need to be prepared. If somebody had that chat with me, that that's what's going to happen, then I would know when it does happen. But you didn't get anyone telling you that's how it was going to be. You arrived there, you found out, you're like, am I being left out here? What's going on? Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny, and listening to anybody say that, you might think, come on, how can you be competing? We deliberately use that phrase, children versus spouse. We know that it's not a competition, and it's not like a court case where one is against the other. But sometimes I think,
feels like that.
Yes, especially for the men, like you say, especially for the men, not so much for the women, because obviously you're so engrossed taking care of this child, this helpless new baby, this joy, this bundle of joy that God has given you, this gift, and you have to.
Yeah. I don't think you have a choice.
You don't have a choice, because the baby can't do anything for himself or herself, and so you have to be there almost like 24/7.
I think the two of you will be.
Well, and so you don't have the time to even be thinking like, I'm feeling left out here, because you can't be left out. You have to breastfeed
More
the
than
baby.
anything else, you're consumed in the task
Absolutely.
that has to be done.
Absolutely. If you're breastfeeding, you have to breastfeed. And the truth of the matter is the role of mothering the child falls on the mother.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I know we live in the 21st century where everything is going, haywire. Everything is being redefined. Yeah, that's the right word. Everything is being redefined. But God created the woman and God created the man. Yeah. And God created us differently. He crafted us differently. He equipped us differently for different roles as well. So there is a place of the mother in the life of the child.
Absolutely.
But
so is the place of the father.
Oh yes, definitely. But I'm just talking about in this instance of the father feeling left out. The reason perhaps is because the mother has to mother the child, and she's more involved, isn't she?
She's definitely
inevitably more involved. Of course. But one way I think that you can help the man, like you say, one, preparation helps. Yeah. So
I think the younger generations are blessed because I didn't have the opportunity to have a man in my life, a dad in my life who would kind of prep me ahead, and with the fluidity of information, the transparency of information, there's just so much information out there that kind of prepare the people that want to be prepared. So people are better poised than we were, I guess.
Yeah, things keep improving, isn't it? In our time, we got some help, we got some sort of preparation. You go for your antenatal classes, and they tell you as best as they can what to expect, But the truth of the matter is, until that child lands in your house, you're never really going to know how to deal with it. Being prepared theoretically is completely different to having to deal with the practicality of having that child in the house. But definitely preparing yourself emotionally, preparing yourself psychologically will help. I think it's probably more difficult when the baby is unplanned. Because it can be because
and if the two of you are not emotionally emotionally ready for the baby, it can be a big challenge, even for the two of you. So we started off by saying people sometimes would say, let's have a baby, and maybe that will bring us together. You have to be very careful that you're ready for the baby, you're matured emotionally for the baby. We're not talking necessarily about your age. We're talking about emotional strength and stability. It's important that you get that together before the baby starts. Before the kids start showing up.
Yeah, and just thinking about that phrase, "Let's have a baby," because it might get us closer. That even suggests that things are not how they ought to be, and bringing the baby might just add strain that could just completely break the relationship. And to be honest with you, statistically, it's shown that most marriages suffer most when the kids come. That is a time where it's very delicate and there's possibility of even divorce when the kids come, when it's supposed to be a really joyous occasion. So it's definitely something to go into carefully and to be prepared for.
You have to really want it. You know? Even though it didn't put any strain on us. It felt different. And
it did. Honey, you forgot to.
It's been a long time. Maybe it did. But the point I'm trying to make is, whatever it was that we went through, we were better positioned for it because we really were ready for the baby.
Yeah, we made up our minds. Like we said, when we first got married, we said we're not going to have kids. We said for a year.
Yeah.
We didn't quite last a year.
No.
Because all of a sudden, everywhere we
started falling in love with kids.
Yes, and we thought, maybe it's time to have a child. So it was, no more cuddling and giving them back. Have your own. So we did decide, but even then, it still came with its challenges. And the changes to the family were still things that we needed to deal with. Yeah. So just thinking about some of the ways that the child impacts on the family when the child comes. One, time.
Yes. Whatever time you had for each other, the child is going to take a slice of
In
that.
fact, they want all of it. It's like they just say, listen, I'm here and I have to be the focus of attention,
Yeah.
both your attentions.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why the man starts to feel a little bit like, come on, this woman was all mine before you came.
Yeah.
Now you're taking everything, you know.
Yeah. But seriously speaking, though, when especially your first child, inevitably you both are more than willing to give 100% of yourselves to the baby. I remember when Dana just showed up. If he sneezes, the two of us are racing to get to him. You know, if he coughs, we're ready to race. And if he smiles, we get the cameras out.
Photos. My goodness. Too many photos.
He was the center of our lives, you know. And it's great, you know, like we said, that you be ready for it. You be ready.
Yeah, but it can adversely affect the relationship, because obviously your time is being taken up by this other person, and you don't have as much time with each other.
Especially in a country like here, where you and I came, we have church friends. Thank God for strong
church family.
They were there as much as possible, but everyone's got their lives, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like when we were growing up back home in Nigeria, where you would have relatives coming to come and help and do stuff for you and kind of relieve you of your responsibility in a way that you will have time to do other stuff. I mean, our story was even amazing, wasn't it? You remember? Because you went back to uni like second week.
Well, a week,
you know. So all of that puts strains on you. So, and that's where you really need to be strong. You really need to be emotionally developed and ready for it. Otherwise, you're going to be wondering, is this a blessing or is this
I know. If it's such a blessing, why am I wishing for the days before the kid came? Yeah. Well, just mentioning about help, that's very important, about being able to get help and not basically get help wherever you can. Yeah. From because there's support groups out there as well. Obviously, there's the mother and toddler groups, because I think young parents, especially young mothers, can feel a bit isolated because all you hear is ba 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 da da da, and you can feel, because you're probably at home more than the dad.
Yeah, it could be that way.
Yeah, the dad probably is the one who's having to work long hours, and you're at home mainly with the child.
And that's about all you have time.
That's about all you have time for. To do the
and there are some demanding kids out there now.
Wow. Yeah, that's another thing. I think training up the child is key as well. Yeah. When I say training up the child, because there's some children, have you seen babies like that nobody can hold them
other than the mom.
Even the dad can't hold them. It's like, come on, the dad can't hold them. And sometimes they will cry. The truth of the matter is, after our first, we learned that crying
don't kill kids.
That was a big lesson we learned, because the first time after we had Daniel,
we did well as well with Daniel.
No, with Daniel, the minute he starts to cry, you're worried. You're like, why is he crying? He should not be crying. You want to do everything to stop him from crying. Passing from one hand.
Maybe that's why Derek has a very good voice, because he cried a bit and we allowed him to.
Passing from one hand to the other, it's all of that. But we have to train them to like we mentioned, Derek, with our youngest, for example, from age with our oldest. Until his younger brother came, he was still sleeping in our bed. Even after his younger brother came, he wanted to keep sleeping in our bed. But with our youngest, from age for about 7 months, he not only slept in his bed, he slept in his room. He slept in his room, and he would whine at night. We would feed him and take him back to his room, and he would cry, and we would leave him. I know, maybe we shouldn't say this on the word.
It wasn't child abuse, it's training.
It was training. And he grew up to be such an independent boy. I think out of the three of them, he was the most independent at a very young age.
Yeah. So it's important that we teach them. Yeah. I remember with Danny, our first as well, I remember the midwife.
I was just going to say that, yes.
That no eye contact.
No eye contact.
Yes. Because they may wake up at night and they won't play, because they think, it may be afternoon or whatever it is, And so you have to train them to say, no, this is my rest time.
This is night
And I
time.
want to sleep.
And
So
she said,
don't start smiling back.
feed them. If they smile, don't even smile back at them. Feed them and put them back to bed. Let them get trained into knowing this is bedtime, this is sleep time, you know. So the training is quite important. It could be difficult because you're thinking, oh, my baby, but it's for your own good, it's for your own sanity, for your own sanity, really.
Yeah.
But the other thing is also it's very draining. So not just on our time, it's draining, physically draining. Physically draining. I say more so for the mom, because inevitably when the baby, yes, I know what more dads now are getting into that role as well of night nurse. But most of the time, it's the woman that performs that role of night nurse.
Yeah.
You know?
It can be tiring. So you have to be there for each other. Dads, you got to step up.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to do some motherly fathering or whatever it is. You know, we got to step in to help the mom to be able to have some time to themselves, and to be able to relax and to be able to enjoy the baby as well. Otherwise, they're just going to be working around the clock.
Yes, and then sometimes the resentment could come in. Like we said, especially if the baby wasn't planned, you know, resentment could come in, and then you could start to play the blame game. It's because of this, it's because of that. So it's just important to deliberately work at making sure you still have a life outside of the child. Now, we're not quite sure what's going on here. I'm not sure if there's something wrong, but we can't see any comments. So if you're posting your comments and we're not responding, it's because we can't see them. So please just bear with us. I'm not sure if there's something wrong.
That's true.
But we can't see any comments at all, which is very, very weird.
That's okay.
So, but just so you know, we're not ignoring you. We love to interact with you, but we can't see any comments at the moment. So yes, so what can we do actually? What can we do to alleviate or to help us with that aspect, the physical aspect of it?
You're talking about
what can couples do? Yes.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, we don't know what happened. It froze and then it stopped, and so this is part 2, if you like. So we were talking about how to basically avoid a situation where the two of you are basically tired.
What you can do to help, to help that situation, because when you're tired physically, then you get tired emotionally, and it just affects everything. Really.
Yeah. So it's very, very important that.
So that's better now.
Yeah, it looks much better. So it's very, very important that you access help that may be available. You know, and you know if you're a Christian, you will find such help in your church. I believe you will find help in your church or some other groups, you know, like you said earlier, toddlers group, you know,
toddler groups,
you know, where
support
you can,
groups, basically.
They don't even necessarily have to come and do stuff in your house, but just being part of a bigger group outside of your home environment brings a little bit of emotional relief to you that will help, you know, strengthen your relationship together.
And knowing that you're not alone, you're not whatever it is you're going. Hi, bro. Okay, thank you for joining in.
Yes.
Bless you. Knowing that whatever you're going through, you're not going through. It's not peculiar to you. And then you can get tips from other people as well on how to deal with stuff. But something else we can do is try not to take on more than we can chew, because we need to understand, this is something I heard years ago, and it's just so true, and I keep reminding myself, we live life on levels and in stages. And when you're in that period where you're just raising a young family, it's a period of your life that you're going to come through. It's just a season in your life, and you have to adjust. I think that's what I'm trying to say. You have to adjust to that season. So whereas perhaps you could do this, that, and the other, and you and your husband could travel and do all these things that you used to do, with the coming of the child, then you have to reorganize your life around what works now.
Absolutely.
With what you have now, rather than trying to squeeze everything in as if nothing changed. So that will help, so that you don't overstretch yourself in your commitments, in your in work, even in service, in everything that you do. Just about being wise about the commitments that you take on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another challenge that could be there once the kids start showing up is finances.
Yeah.
Finances.
Financial challenge. But yeah, it puts a financial drain on the family, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know it sounds a bit negative to say it like that, but it's the truth. Children don't come cheap.
No.
Hello, Haina.
Hello,
I'm sure Haina knows children don't come cheap. With all the activities they get involved in, with the feeding, the diapers, everything else. Basically, it's just additional financial responsibility for the family. Childcare. Don't tell me about childcare costs. Even in our time. Hi, Prophet Daniel.
Yes,
bless you. Even in our time, childcare cost was, for us then, it was astronomical.
Yeah,
really.
Even now,
so,
it's increasing.
Yeah.
Significantly. And it does put. I want to use challenge. That's
not pressure.
Not pressure. So it goes back to what we said earlier. You have to be ready for a baby. Otherwise, you guys you're gonna struggle.
Well, how ready though? I think some people wait. Some people want to wait until they have everything perfect.
Well, I don't think you will ever arrive at that perfection. It's more than what you have. It's more of who you are, how developed you are for this new input into your life, rather than how much money you have.
But you should have a job, though.
Oh, yeah.
You should have a job, definitely. Have a job, have a roof over your head before you start thinking of having a baby. But the financial aspect is quite important because that can impact on everything else, can't it? So, for example, if you're having the financial challenge, as we want to call it, and it might lead to the man feeling like they need to work longer hours, because the woman might have to now reduce her hours.
Well, she will have to, especially the first few months,
Either stop work completely or reduce her hours drastically so she can take care of the child. And then the man could end up working longer hours, which could again impact on family life. He comes home, he's tired, and then he feels like, oh, I have all the financial burden on me, and she's thinking, oh, I wish I could go out to work and I'm just stuck at home all day. So it could well, that's one of the ways that it could affect families.
It's preparation cannot be undermined. In this, you guys have to be emotionally and financially ready. We're not saying wait forever, because if you're not careful, you will end up waiting forever. And you may then begin to realize, oh, maybe we should have started much earlier. Then you will know when you're ready. That's the main thing. You will know when you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talk about financial, emotional, physical strain, and something else I think that the child impacts on is the way that the husband and the wife relate to each other.
I was just thinking about that. It's very, very important that you don't allow the arrival of the baby to be the end of your own romance.
Difficult, I must admit.
Difficult, but
difficult.
You have to work at it. You have to be deliberate. Otherwise, you're gonna focus your love in that direction, and you will realize,
and you will just become drained. Your love tank will become empty. So whereas when you think of your spouse, you're thinking about romantic texts to send them. Now all you send them is shopping lists and to-do lists, things they have to do for the kids, and you just feel. I think obviously you have to move from that place of married couples to parenting, because that's what you are now. You're parents, and you have to parent. But I think what we're saying is, hi Folola, bless you, thank you for joining me. We think while following through that role of parenting, not to forget that you still have a husband, and you still have
each other. And guess what? Just as they arrived, they will depart soon.
The children, right? Well, maybe not soon, but they will one day. Before you know it, and both of you will be left together. So while you're doing what a responsible parents should do for their children, you have to do what a responsible husband or a responsible wife should be doing as well, and not
Social
neglect
input, yeah.
not neglect your
You have to keep investing in each other.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
otherwise you're going to be drained, and you start taking it out on each other, and you might even start taking it out on the kids as well.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. I think it's important to take time out.
Mhm.
You know, again, it goes back to this trying to get as much help as you can. If you know, for those of you that have relatives, you know, it's a real blessing. But I think it's important to have your me times outside of the child, so that it's not just about you being parents. You're still individuals,
Lovers.
and you can still explore those other aspects of your relationship. So that's quite important.
Very important.
All right. So I think one way that we can do that in terms of keeping that going, like we mentioned before, is, I don't know if you were there. I'm not sure if you can you just tell us when we started the program, were you there or not? Because we weren't sure. We couldn't see anybody. We couldn't see any comments.
Fact,
so
I think a lot of people that are here now probably weren't there at that time. So there might have been a problem.
Yeah, but if you can just say yes if you were with us from the start of the program, or no, and then we'll know. But we're talking about training the child, training the child to be able to stay with others, to try and get them to some sort of course, not independence as such, but to be able to get them to that place where they're not so reliant on you and you alone, so you can go off and go do something else.
Training them starts from day one. It starts from day one, because children, they are so smart. They will try and establish their own boundaries as much as possible. They want to send out signals. They send out they'll send out signals to see how much they can get away with, you know, and how basically they want to try and see what liberties they can take, so to say. And if you're not careful, they will take over. They will establish their own rule, and it would just make parenting very, very difficult, and even your relationship will be strained as well. So they've got to be trained as early as possible when it's their established bedtime. Put them into bed and walk away from it. You know, and they will get used to it. Whatever it is that you desire to impart on them, you have to start from day one.
You have to start early. Yeah, you have to start early. And we talked about the man. Mainly the man, I suppose. And if you're a man out there watching this, do let us know if you feel that's true, that it's common with men to kind of feel left out, to kind of feel like they've lost connection with their wife, to kind of feel like somebody's taking their wife over. Let us know if that's your experience as well. But we talked about
it's a known feeling. You know, that men do feel. You know, you don't feel jealous, but you just feel, what's going on here? I feel like I'm being left out.
And most of the women, we don't, Prophet Daniel said, it seems with the first child, or in some cases with those with only one child, we lose the balance, due to inexperience.
That's what we were saying earlier.
We talked about that earlier. We talked about the being prepared, being important. So, you know, having the right counseling, because Pastor Julius was saying, if somebody had told him that this is how you're going to feel when the baby comes, that you're going to sometimes feel a little bit jealous of the baby, a little bit left out, a little bit envious of the attention the baby is always getting, and you're just left to fend for yourself, kind of thing. If somebody prepared him that he could possibly feel like that, then when the baby came, you would know, okay, well, it's not entirely uncommon, and you'll be more ready to deal with it. So yes, definitely the preparation is quite
and maybe it's not a bad idea for couples to allow some time before they start having kids. You know,
you mean to just be on their own?
To enjoy each other, learn. I mean, study each other, understand each other, be emotionally prepared. Be emotionally stable, financially stable, and let kids come. By the time they come, you guys are stable, you're ready, to deal with whatever challenges come your way. But if you haven't grown to that level where you know each other well enough and you haven't got the support that we were encouraging, you may feel exposed, you may feel
so much to deal with.
And you may end up not really enjoying the baby as much as you should. So it's important.
But I think it's important for the women to be prepared as well, because even though, yes, the man shouldn't feel the way he's feeling, he should understand there's a baby, the baby needs a mom and all that. But I think for the women as well, we need to be more sensitive. We need to be more sensitive to know that we shouldn't just take it for granted that because he's the father, after all, he should understand.
He feels the way you feel too.
Yeah, well, he should just understand basically, because you think I'm particularly enjoying waking up in the night and having to do all the feeding and all that. I'm not particularly enjoying it. So just deal with whatever you need to deal with and get over it. Yeah, you might have that attitude, which might not help. So just for the women to also know that this is how the man could possibly feel, and be a little bit more sensitive and be a little bit more inclusive in what you do and how you do it, that would help as well. We are so sorry about the hiccups tonight.
It's technology.
Yes, we're sorry. So it looks like most people missed the first half of the program.
But it's on the wall. It's on the wall.
Yeah, so you can catch up. And next week we're going to be talking about children as well.
Yes,
we're going to carry
take it to another level.
Yes.
What we'll do to make up for this is we'll combine both videos and we'll repost it on Facebook as well as
one video.
As well as YouTube as well, for anyone who may want to watch it.
And please do us a favor. So when we started the program, we said we're going to end the Family First series on alternative lifestyle on the 21st of December, which is in about 2 weeks. But we're going to carry on dealing with the family on the Family First platform, which is the page. It's a different page, Family First page. So if you haven't liked that page, please go and like that page. But over the next 2 weeks, we're going to carry on talking about children and how they impact the family and how much of a blessing they are, really. But if you've got any specific questions that you want us to address about children, if you've got any specific questions that you want us to touch or questions or topics that you want us to touch on regarding children or generally regarding the family, to be honest, then we really would be very, very grateful to hear from you.
Thank you so much for tonight, and apologies for the technological hiccup earlier. Like we said, we'll make the video both available over this weekend. Tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? So by the weekend it'll be available, if not much earlier, but we'll make it.
But in the meantime, you can still watch it in two parts.
Part two. Well, we pray that God's blessing continue to rest on you and enjoy the rest of your evening. Shalom, shalom.